Hello, everyone who's just joined. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Thursday morning or afternoon now, 1 p.m. We're just going to give it 30 seconds just to let a few other people join us. So just stay with us. There's the chat open. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, feel free to put your name and where you're from in the chat. That would be great to know a little bit more about you, and we'll be having the opportunity to answer questions at the end of the webinar. Thanks, Fiona, for joining us. We're just saying that there's the chat open. We're just going to give it another 30 seconds to allow some people to join us. If you'd like to put your name in the chat and introduce yourselves to everyone else, that would be great. Okay, we might actually start, I think. There might be some people joining us halfway through, but that's okay. Hi, John. Nice to meet you. So just to introduce myself, my name's Emma Morgan. I'm the National Marketing Manager over at Upskilled. And this is Russell. He's our Programme Coordinator for the IT faculty and has many years of experience. Thanks, Russell, for doing this with us. We really appreciate your time. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your career and background and what you do here at Upskilled?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here and share a bit of my knowledge about the IT industry. Yep, I'm a program coordinator at Upskilled for the Certificate 3 students. And my background, well, I've been working in IT and teaching IT now for about 20 years, which makes me start and feel quite old. I started off, I suppose, the way I sort of got into it, in the UK, I had a non-IT role. It was sort of a management role in the government. And it used to annoy me sometimes when I had a computer problem and somebody would come along and try and fix it for me from the IT department, and they would never tell me what they did. So I've always had a bit of an interest just for that reason.
Yeah.
When I came to Australia, I tried to get a job in government, and apparently even that, then I was too old, so I really feel old now.
Now you're showing your age.
Yeah, and so I was stuck for work, and I noticed some courses at TAFE, so I started there and went on to get a diploma and started doing some work in the IT industry around about that time as well.
That's great. It's always great to hear, how people, gain a passion for the area that they end up being an expert in. So thanks for sharing that. Can you just give us a little bit of an overview of where you think the IT industry, the state of the IT industry is at the moment? Because I know that it's ever changing and it's even newsworthy now. Can you tell us a little bit about, what you see as what's happening in the IT industry?
Well, in my 20 years, I've never known it to be so active, actually. There's a lot going on at the moment. There's so many buzzwords that you hear around, things like augmented reality and virtual reality and blockchain. And, I'm still getting my head around a lot of those terms. But probably the main thing that I've been concerned with the courses that we deliver is the advent of IoT, Internet of Things, or Internet of Everything. And they reckon that that's the next stage of the Internet. We're now in the 4th stage of the Internet. The first stage was back in the 90s when we just had static web pages. And then the next stage was when we moved into e-commerce and things like eBay and online banking and things like that took off. Then it was, of course, social media, which revolutionized everything with Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all of those sorts of tools. And now we're in this fourth phase where everything is connected to the internet. So everything from your fridge to the street lights to your car. We've got drones that are connected to the internet. And somebody's got to make sure that all those devices work and that they're secure as well. And cybersecurity is a big area where we're seeing a lot of new employment opportunities in that area.
Yeah, actually, I was just going to ask that about, obviously, you know, it's so amazing when you do think of how the internet is and how IT is integrated into the world now and into everybody's lives, you know, and you said even your fridge. And obviously that opens up a huge amount of career opportunities for people looking to get into this industry. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the key career opportunities that there are that are really sort of truly linked to the IT industry now?
Yeah, sure. I think with IoT, cybersecurity is now an area that is in big demand. So people with qualifications in those areas and skills in those areas. Although having said that, we've been teaching cybersecurity for years, you know, just in our networking subjects and in app development, you know, paying attention to cybersecurity. But of course, it's become very much the focus now recently, and the people in charge, the governments and so on, are starting to take notice and actually developing specific qualifications in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
So, you know, I try to keep in contact with industry as much as possible. And I have a good relationship with a few businesses in Adelaide, a few organizations. And when I go and visit them, quite often, well, we're now seeing new positions. Like, for example, there was somebody called a pen tester, a penetration tester, and their whole day is spent monitoring the network and looking for suspicious activity, and also testing the network.
Yeah.
And also, we've had chief information officers as a position for quite a while now. Now we have a chief information security officer specifically responsible for cybersecurity.
I guess Optus was wishing that they had that position in place this week.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just the latest one, isn't it? It's been in every day you hear of some sort of cyber attack.
Yeah.
And I think we've all had to become far more aware just in our personal lives about cyber security issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of developments in that area, definitely. And also app development, I think, is a growing area as well. You know, if you can come up with a great idea for a mobile app and you've got the skills to develop it and implement it and follow the project from start to finish, you know, there's lots of opportunities in that area. And also, I would say cloud. You know, everything is moving to the cloud these days. So there are job titles like cloud architect or cloud architect engineer, positions like that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you where you see the future of IT in the next, say, 5 years, and where do you think that's growing to? And I guess that app development, cybersecurity, and cloud platforms. But are there any other areas that you can see that are growing in the IT industry for the future?
From a training point of view, augmented reality seems to be the closest thing that is going to be the next big thing, I think, where you see these Google glasses now, which display information to you so that you're in a sort of more interactive world when you're working on projects. So that's definitely a growth area. I think blockchain is another thing that's really going to take off. They're even saying that we'd be able to securely vote using blockchain because it records everything and everything's traceable. So and it's going to make the whole financial world a lot less, because it's very difficult and cumbersome to get things done in the financial world at the moment. And it's going to streamline all of that side of things. So,
Yeah.
but at the moment, I would say, yeah, cybersecurity, cloud, and app development, those three things.
Yeah. And obviously, with an ever-changing industry that's moving all the time and often moving very, very quickly, tell us a little bit about how important it is to stay on top of technology at the moment.
Well, it is. And if you're thinking about a career in IT, that's something you have to accept, that, it's a changing world and there's always going to be something new to learn. New software that's come out, new hardware. And you have to just sort of learn to embrace it, really, and not let it bother you too much. And accept that you're not going to know everything, and you're not going to, because something else will come along soon afterwards, which you'll have to learn. So there's various ways you can keep up to date. I always keep an eye on the vendor certification. So, what Microsoft are offering in terms of qualifications, Cisco, VMware, those sorts of organizations. And when I got the time, and try and do some of their short courses, at least, if I can't manage to get the time to do the whole certification.
Yeah.
And also just talking to people, after a while you build up lots of contacts, people in different industries.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So tell me, I feel like, the internet and the IT skills really can be sort of moved into lots of different careers. As a marketer, we deal with HTML coding on a regular basis and web development. Just tell us about some of the major skills that someone in this field really needs to have, because I know that there's a lot of specialities, but there are also some key skills that everybody should have that works with information technology at all.
Yeah. Well, every country now is experiencing, everything's being digitized, isn't it? So if you're confident with IT, that's going to stand you in good stead no matter what job role you do.
Yeah.
For me as a teacher, I often have to use learning management systems. And sometimes they don't always do what you want them to do in terms of the way they look and the way it's formatted and presented. And it's really handy to know, for example, that you can go in there and edit the HTML code that sits behind it, or the CSS script, or even the JavaScript, just to get things working the way you want to. And I think just in an office admin role, if you're comfortable with, say, how to update a website, how to, the processes involved, if you're comfortable with a little bit about how networks work and the office Wi-Fi network, if something goes wrong there, or people want help setting it up to make it secure, it's all going to help.
Yeah. And I guess there's lots of soft skills as well that are really important when you're working in this industry. Tell us a little bit about those.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. The technical skills are good. Obviously, you need to know those, but the soft skills are just as important. Going back to that example I gave where the IT guy came and fixed something on my computer and just didn't tell me what went wrong. I learned from that as well. And it's something that we try to get across to our students, that, you need to be a good communicator and to explain to the client, what the solution is, and, talk in the right language. So those soft skills are very important. You need to be a good communicator. You need to be a good team worker as well, because you soon realize in IT that no way you can know everything, and you're going to have to rely on each other a lot when you're problem solving. And that's probably the other skill that you need, is good problem solving skills.
Yes.
Be prepared to spend a bit of time on working through solutions, to spend a lot of time doing that every day. You're problem solving.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about the different levels of people, like, somebody who has, little to no experience of the IT field, but they want to move into this ever-growing area. Tell us a little bit about some of the ways that somebody can enter the IT industry when they are not part of it at the moment.
Yeah, it's sort of qualifications really are the way you have to start, and the certificate 3 is a good starting point. There's also a skill set that we're offering now at Upskilled, entry-level IT skill set, which covers 4 units, so not the entire certificate, which has 12 units in it. And if you're interested and you want to thinking about a career in IT, that might be a good place to start. And then if you want to go on and complete the full certificate, that opportunity is there for you as well. But the certificate 3 gives you a good grounding, good introduction into all the major areas. So you do a bit of web development, a bit of introduction to programming. We introduce the students to Python, which is probably the most popular programming language at the moment, along with JavaScript. We introduce them to cybersecurity, of course, the fundamentals of cybersecurity, and a bit of networking as well, and also working on a help desk.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a good starting point. Yeah.
And I guess there's lots of things that people can do just at home or in their own businesses. If they're running their own business, like setting up their own modem, or trying to build an e-commerce site, or there are some skills that people can do outside of study as well.
Absolutely, yeah. You could rather than just getting the equipment from your internet service provider, whoever it might be, and then just plugging it in and just leaving it. If you're interested in IT, it's a good learning process to actually set it up properly yourself and go and buy the equipment from Officeworks or wherever it might be, set up your router, learn about all the security configurations on your router, even do the cabling, set up the Wi-Fi network. So that's a good, learning process. And also, I think volunteering for things. I remember when I was doing my certificate 3 many years ago, and my kids were at kindy, and we just got chatting there one day, and they needed help with their website. So I put my hand up and developed the website for them.
Yeah, that's great.
So it's a great thing to add to your resume. So that you're not only, getting the qualifications, but you've got a bit of practical experience as well.
Yeah, and I guess that leads us quite nicely on to that, IT is a hands-on career. I think a lot of people think that it's about sitting behind a computer screen, but a lot of it is about hands-on experience. Just tell us a little bit about some of the projects that in some of the qualifications that Upskilled offers. There's quite a lot of hands-on actual practical experience that they'll gain. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, there is. The way that the units are structured in the training package is that you follow a project from start to finish. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing, say a networking unit, you do the planning and development work to begin with, and getting all the resources together and meeting with your supervisor and other team members to plan the project. Then you actually implement it. And in networking, we do that in a virtual environment. We use Azure Lab Services, where students can actually build a network. And also we use VMware products as well. So they work with virtual machines to build the network. Yeah. And then after that, we sort of review the project, and just as you would in the real workplace, seek feedback on it, make amendments. And so it's a project that we follow right the way through. And if it's programming, it's the same sort of thing. Instead of using virtual machines, we have a development environment for the students to use to build their app.
Yeah. And how, obviously, sometimes people probably feel that when you're learning hands-on skills, I mean, how does online learning help support something that can be quite hands-on? What kind of support is provided to students when they're learning these skills?
Yeah, so with online, if you look at all the vendor qualifications now, it's all online, and that's the way you learn IT, and it's all sort of virtual, and sort of moving to the cloud. So that's something that we have to get used to. In terms of support, we hold regular sort of drop-in sessions every day for the students to sort of meet up and touch base, realize that they're not all on their own when they're studying online. There are other students and trainers to support them.
Yeah.
We do workshops as well, assessment walkthroughs, and that sort of thing. So we're trying very hard to provide more support to students, so that they're not on their own when they're doing those sorts of project work.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us a little bit about the specialities. There's lots of ways of specializing in IT. Just tell us some of the specializations and different levels, because people trying to get in, I guess there might be some people who are just entering the industry, but also some people who are already working in the industry and wanting to like upskill their skills so that they can stay on top of everything.
Yeah, so as I said before, it's an industry where you can't possibly know everything. So you do tend to specialize the further you go up the ladder in terms of qualifications and experience. But having said that, you might have a role like a sort of help desk support role in a small organization, might be as high school or something like that, where you do need to know a little bit about everything, but you're not necessarily expert in everything. You might have your favorite areas, but you need to know, about networking and about applications and help desk procedures and that sort of thing. But people do tend to specialize, and there's many different paths you can go down. At Upskilled, when you get to Cert 4 and diploma level, you can specialize in cybersecurity, programming, networking, cloud. So that there's a lot of different specialization areas. And just on that, you might have noticed on our website that we now got built up a partnership with a company called Simply Learn, which are an international provider, and they have a lot of like boot camp courses, which allow you to further specialize.
Yeah.
So and they actually have vendor certification embedded in those courses as well.
Yeah, and some of them are very short, just 3 months, where you can just build one skill if you're already in the industry and really become like, specialist in that area, and also staying up to date with current technology.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're sort of stackable. So, you can do as much as you want. You can go, there's sort of modules that you can do, and you can do all the modules, which would take about 12 months, or just do the one module at a time.
Yeah, I think it just seems as if the IT industry at the moment is such an exciting industry to be in. And there's so many new areas that people can specialize in, and there's so many levels that you can either, enter the industry, or if you're in the industry, there's always that ability to upskill and to continue to learn, which I think in anybody's career is an important skill to have, is to continue learning as you grow older. And it seems like a really exciting industry to be in. We've got 5 minutes left, and I really want to make sure that we allow people to ask some questions. So the chat's open. If everyone would like to ask a question, if you've got anything that we've spoken about today, or anything that you really wanted to know about, then please type a question into the chat, and we'll use the next few minutes to try and answer those for everyone. Don't be shy. Okay, everyone is going to be shy.
That's all right.
That's okay. That's no
Yeah.
problem. So, I mean, maybe just let's finish off with a little bit of information about in the IT industry at the moment. Like, what would be the quickest way for somebody to enter it? John, actually, John's just asked a question.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you need to do a foundational course like Cert 3 before specializing in something like cyber? Great question, John.
It is. I think that would be a good idea. Yeah, or at least to do the entry level skill set. Because that actually in that skill set there is an introduction to cybersecurity in there as well. And because actually I say you can't possibly know everything, but actually in cybersecurity, everything comes up in cybersecurity, you know, because you have to make the applications secure, the network secure. So you know, it comes into programming, it comes into every aspect really of IT cybersecurity. So doing a foundational course first would probably be a good idea before you go down the cybersecurity path. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's lots of different levels that you can do. Like I said, there's a very short course that if you just want to dip your toe in, and then a Cert 3 at the next level up.
Yeah, yeah.
So Cert 3, how long does the Cert 3 take, Russell?
Well, for us, it's 12 to 18 months. So if you were to do it full time, you know, an instructor-led course, which you know, you can do with other RTOs, you might be able to get it done in 6 months, but that would be pretty intense, you know, and a full-time study. We allow for 12 to 18 months for you to complete the certificate.
Yeah, and then the other option there is to also look at the boot camp, the cybersecurity, which is done in around about 12 months, if that was a little bit too long. And then there are also like smaller, shorter courses where you can specialize in things like CompTIA security. So just like certain little areas within cybersecurity. So there's lots of different levels that you can join at. But I think Certificate 3, with it being nationally recognized, is a really great one if you're especially looking at any.
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's so much out there, you know, so many things so many paths to go down.
Yeah.
And you can get a bit overwhelmed by it all. And I think Cert 3 is that a good introduction, you know, it gives you a bit of an introduction to each area. Because the worst thing is that you go down the programming route, you know, doing a boot camp course on that, and you find, oh, you know, that's not really what I was expecting. Yeah. Whereas if you do Cert 3, it's a gentle introduction into each of the areas. Yeah. And you might discover, you know, actually I like website design, or I prefer networking, not programming. And then you can go on after that.
Yeah. And I think just for people to do their homework, really, to make sure that before they do any study, that they are, you know, really clear about what's being offered on the course and that it's right for them is a really important thing to do.
Yeah. And I also think, you know, there's no shortcuts with it, really. You know, you have to put the hours in, and if you make if you've got the fundamentals right, which you will get in Cert 3, that'll stand you in good stead with everything else.
Yeah.
So it's getting those, it's like any education, isn't it? Once you get the fundamentals right, then, you know, particularly in IT, if some new technology comes along, you can go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Tony's just asking, is there any government sponsored or subsidized courses in IT? Tony, it depends on what state you're in. So a lot of the funding is state based. There is a lot of state based funding, but again, it depends where it is. And you can always look at the Upskilled website. Each course will tell you if there's funding available in your state for that, and that changes on a regular basis. So if there's something that you don't see at the moment, next month the government do change it quite regularly. So just keep on top of what your personal state is funding, but it is available, yes. And how many hours per week expected in a Cert 3, part-time or full-time? That's probably a question for you, Russell.
That's a good question. Well, everybody's situation is different, you know. It depends if you're studying part-time, full-time, what other commitments you've got. But we release our units at the moment in twos, and we sort of give you a training schedule to complete those 2 units in a month.
Okay.
So so I would say you'd need to spend maybe 20 hours a week to get that done, those 2 units in a month.
Yeah.
But it varies. I mean, it's hard to say because everybody's situation is different, and some people will have more of a base skill set than others. You know, and it depends on the unit as well. I know that our students tend to take longer with the introductory programming unit because it's completely new to them, whereas other ones on the soft skill side of things, they tend to breeze through pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So,
and also one of the benefits of it being online is that you can study when it works for you. I mean, some people study better first thing in the morning, some people prefer to study later at night, and you know that it can fit around people's lifestyles, so that they can study those 20 hours as they need to.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's lots of advantages to studying online, and it's well, not unfortunately, I just think it's just something we all have to get used to. You know, after COVID, it was sort of forced on us a bit, working from home and working remotely and studying remotely. But I think it's here to stay. So if you can get used to that, and where you're and it'll stand you good stead in the IT industry as well if you can facilitate your own learning as much as possible and not rely too much on instructor-led learning, because there's lots of resources out there anyway. There's lots of YouTube videos and LinkedIn videos and so on that explain things very well. Yeah.
Are there any other questions from anyone? That's our half an hour up, and I want to make sure that we've answered all the questions. Thank you for your time, Russell. It was really interesting, and really thank you for sharing all your knowledge. We will be sending the recording of this webinar out to everybody after this. And if anyone's got any questions, then please do get in touch, and we'd be happy to answer them. And thank you for giving us your time during your lunch hour.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening to me. Hopefully it's been interesting and helpful.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.